This is amazing. So this is one of the SMs, and I'll be presenting Sprint One's demo for the SMs and as well for the whole team. So today's agenda is we'll have the introduction, which I would take. I will talk about what the SMs and APMs were up to in the past 2 weeks. Rue is going to take on the DA's role and talk about what they did in the past 2 weeks. Emobo will speak for the QAs and Ibili will speak for the BAs. Then I would come back and round up, and then we'll give room for our mentors to have a quick chat with us and give us the review of what they've thought of what we've done. Okay. So today's demo, we're going to be talking about what the sprint goal was, which was to build a static homepage for an e-commerce website, which is Velo website. We were time boxed for 2 weeks, which was from February 17th to March 3rd. And what was accomplished was a production of the static homepage, which we'll see later on in the slides. So we have me, Ope, Laura, Taiwo, Josephine, and Chinelo as SMs. Taiwo is an APM, apologies. And we'll just go on to what we did in these 2 weeks. So first things first, one of our roles was to manage daily stand-ups, and we shuffled this around the whole team. So each person took daily stand-ups and randomly throughout the 2 weeks. So Chinelo, Taiwo, Josephine wasn't able to do because of our work, but me and Laura as well were able to go ahead with daily stand-ups. As regards to sprint planning, we're meant to have that on Tuesday, the 17th, but that didn't hold as planned. So we had an ad hoc sprint planning later on in the week. But during that sprint planning, we're able to create user stories, which I mentioned later on under learning, because the SMs were then able to create user stories because we had an impediment of BAs not being able to create it on time. We also had a review where we then committed 2 other stories to the board later on Thursday during our stand-up. The SMs have done extreme regular checkup on team members I may had, just to make sure that everybody's on board and to make sure that messages being passed across are being added to. We also ensured facilitations with the PO, which is Janet, and made sure to attend the meetings when we could. In terms of learning, we attended the stakeholder management, which we've actually been doing. We've been managing our stakeholders, allowing me, DG, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓, Juliet, and every other person related to this project. Wireframing, fun fact, we actually learned wireframing, and we created, along with the BAs, the wireframes for all our 4 stories that we'll see on the board, or that we can see on the board today. We, as usual, always take attendance of every meeting, and we have now an Excel sheet with all the classes that we've had with links to the YouTube page or channel, as we like to call it. So we took care of various impediments brought up by the team, which included the tester account for QAs, the inconsistencies with the BAs, always trying to meet with them on time, as well as trying to meet with the PO on time to ensure elicitation. We also ensured smooth logging on to Azure DevOps and Microsoft Office for all team members to ensure that everyone has access to the page and can see all what needed to be seen at each point in time. Yes, so weirdly enough, we had delayed access to Balsamiq by some BAs, so we had to reach out again to their tutor to ensure that new access was given to the BAs at the right time. As I touched on earlier, we helped in the creation of wireframes, and we also relayed necessary information and updates to the team. And we were always trying to keep the QAs informed about their tester accounts because they were quite on top of it. But yes, that's all we were able to do within 2 weeks. That being said, we have some pictures. So this is what our board looked like on the 27th of February.
2 minutes more.
Thank you. We've had quite a few user stories that both the SMs and BAs were able to produce just because of the impediment I touched on earlier. We've been able to commit and approve. We were able to commit and approve 4 stories, which is now in, I think, QA done at the moment. And these were the wireframes that we were able to create as well. So the first one is the header wireframe, and the one on the right was the one for the home page, which also shows the footer, by the way. So now I'm going to pass on to Rutendo, who is going to talk on behalf of the DAs. Thank you. Just let me know when you want me to change the slides.
No worries, thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Right, sorry. So we were introduced to the visualization tools that we needed to successfully perform our roles as DAs. We were introduced to SQL, which we understand as data analysts. We use it to transform complex data into clear, actionable insights. So what that means is we wait for the company to give us their data that they want us to simplify, and we use the tools to be able to create graphs and charts and things like that so that they can see exactly what the business is doing. So we were signed up to SQL and other tools, but specifically with SQL, we learned that we created and identified tables and columns, and we navigated to restore databases, and task in the management tool, and we redirected the files to the correct folders. We learned about how to use selective words. Sorry, hold on. So we learned about data retrieval in SQL. So words such as select, from, and where. These words pulled specific commands from the database. We used this to select a statement, which then was the base of every query. So each word that we type into the command, it actually has a specific thing that it does. So yeah, we use this to collect specific columns and for narrowing down results and finding customers from a specific city, for example. We would select that as well, like where, and then we'll type, what the city is to find out where it is. We also learned about data definition language. So that was create and alter, and data manipulation language, like insert. So these are some of the commands that we touched on. They're used to build and modify tables as well as manage the actual records within those tables. And we also learned about primary and foreign keys. We learned that primary keys are used to uniquely identify roles. Example, in a customer table, the customer ID is a primary key, and foreign key are used to maintain relationships between tables. For example, in a restaurant order, the primary key would be the table number. So table 3, there is not another table 3, so that identifies exactly where the food needs to go. The foreign key would be the customer's order ticket. The ticket has this number, has the table number written on the top, so that way the ticket itself isn't the table, it's just, it points to where the table is, basically, so that the waiter knows where to deliver the food. And then the next slide. Tableau, okay. So with Tableau, we were introduced to Tableau, and we were set up on the system of how to use it. What we've learned so far is that Tableau is a KPI, so it's a key performance indicator and data visualization tools, which means that it regulates the key performances of the company. It presents data in clear visual forms. It helps stakeholders understand performance and make business decisions. It turns raw data into charts and dashboards and reports so that it's easier for the stakeholders to see exactly what the company is doing. So the purpose of it just, like I said, it makes complex data easy to understand. It highlights trends and patterns, supports decision-making, communicates insights clearly to stakeholders. So that's what we were learning about. We also learned about the data lifecycle in Tableau. So the most common process would be to import data, to clean the data, analyze data, visualize results and share insights. We also learned about that it can connect to different mini files. So Excel is the most common one used. There's also CSV files, JSON files, PDF data, SQL databases, and SharePoint links and email attachments. And we learned that Tableau can connect up to 250 data sources.
1 minute more.
Okay. So with importing data, so the data is organized in columns and rows. Files can be single database or multi-entity databases, so like linked tables. We learn how to import the files, identify data types, and prepare data for analysis. We also learn about aggregate data, so that's like numeric values. So that's used for sales, quantity, profit, and can be summed, averaged, and counted. Non-aggregate data is text or categories. So that would be like the customer's name, country, things where it's text and not number, like not numerical values. We also touched on pivot tables to help answer business questions. Select any cell in Excel to go to insert for the pivot table. It helps summarize and analyze data. And yeah, this concept is more like is that a 1 minute? It's not finished.
Time up, yeah, time up.
Oh, gosh, thanks.
So over to the QAs now. Who is presenting for the QAs?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Imobo. I'll be presenting for the QAs. Next slide, please. So in readiness for our sprint and how we'll be testing the PBIs, that's the so we were coached on different aspects of the test cases, from learning to do it the old style, that's just using the Excel, MS Excel, and then getting to do it on Azure DevOps. So we had to go through the scenario basis on Excel to create test cases, and then we had to go through the given when then format on Azure DevOps, just to see how we can transit from that old way of capturing test cases to using a software like the Azure DevOps to capture test cases in a more organized way. That's the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 syntax, which is understood by different people, different tech teams, so that there's like uniformity, and using the BDD, behavioral driven development. And we also touched on bug defects. So, okay, please move to the next slide. All right, so this is what we first of all touched on, using Excel to create our scenarios, to describe the test cases, the test steps, expected result. We had the actual results and also the status of our test being carried out. So after we understood this part, we moved on to our BDD, the given when then, which is on the next slide. All right, so here we have a list of test cases which were captured on Azure DevOps when we had a product backlog moved into InQA, when the developer was done with his development and we got the URL. So the next step was for us to populate each of these user stories and get the different features tested. So initially, what we did was to do the test cases for the home page, the banner, the header, and the footer. So when the user stories were opened, we saw that there were different features. So we had to create further test steps to capture each feature while testing them on the work environment. So here we have a screenshot of the test steps that were captured for the home page. This was done by Adegboyega. Next slide, please. Okay. So we have further steps coming up because there were different features which we had to capture. we had under the homepage, we had a banner, and the banner had different features. We had tagline, party wear visibility, and several others. Under the header, we had company logo. We had the $sign, the amount. So we had to, take our time to break down each of these features and test them on the work environment. So here we have another screenshot, though they can't really see what's here because these are just the test cases that were captured based on this PBI. I think this PBI is the footer. So we had to generate all these test cases. This also had the data as well. Please can you go to the next slide? Thank you. All right, so opening up one of the test cases, we had the given, when, then, and the expected results on the other side. Given, when, then was developed from the user story, the acceptance criteria that was generated by the BAs. Then the expected result we got was from testing each of these acceptance criteria on the test environment. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another test case also, just screenshotted so that we can see that there's the given, when, then, the action, and then there's the expected. Next step, please. All right, so here we have a clearer version of all
1 minute more.
All the work steps that were carried out, all the test cases that were carried out on the other PBIs. So we also have, like I said, we had a home page, we had the header, the banner, and the footer. Next slide, please. Okay, so based on what we had done, the test cases we had tested on the test environment, so we had these 8 bugs. So we reported the bugs on Azure DevOps, and because it's still work in progress, some of them have been assigned to the BA while we are still working on a few more. Next step, please. Next slide. All right, so these are accomplishments. These are the PBIs we developed based on the 4 user stories. These were, the next column has the name of the QAs that worked on each of the PBIs. So these are the number of test cases per PBI, the bugs raised also, and here are the bug IDs raised for these PBIs. Thank you.
You can.
All right, so the next person that will be presenting will be the BAs, the BA role. Ebele will be presenting for the BAs. Over to you, Ebele. Thank you.
Thank you, Amabo, and good evening, everyone. So this is Ebele presenting on behalf of the BAs, which are Chidi, Esther, and Louis, and myself. All right, so for the past 2 weeks, these are the things that we have done. We were able to do elicitation and creation of user stories. That was after we met with our product owner, Janet. So she took us on how to elicit elicitation of requirement and then user stories. So we were able to do that. And then we also were taught about wireframing, how we could use wireframing to depict the user stories that we've been able to capture. Then we also did stakeholders management with one of our mentors. Okay, and then we met with product owners as well, and then we had career development and equally mentoring and peer discussion. So that is what we learned for the past 2 weeks. And then the user stories, we're able to create some user stories for Velo Fashion website. And some of the user stories that we had, we were told the user story has to have header, which has definite requirements for the header. The header will have the logo, will also have so many other things, which I don't want to, because of the time, I don't want to go into that. But the user stories had header, body, and footer. So we're able to create some of them. You can see it there. The next slide, please. And we were able to create wireframes using Balsamic, featuring some of those user stories that we did, bringing them to a visual representation so that anybody that sees it will see the visual of where they're supposed to be. So we were able to do that. Might not be perfect, but at least it's still a work in progress. We are still going to improve on that coming next time. So let's have another slide, please. The next slide. All right, so some of the accomplishments we had during those 2 weeks, we usually attend our daily stand-ups, and then we hear what other people are doing and what we are doing. We give an update on what we have done and what the team are also doing. And then we had sprint planning with the rest of the team as well, and sprint review with the rest of the team. And we also met with our mentors, and then we had meeting with our product owner as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So that's the whole presentation done. I'm just going to do a bit of roundups. Please okay back now. I'm going to do a bit of roundup before we leave it to feedback from the mentors. So in general, I'm just going to touch on the impediments we faced as well as the end result. So the impediments we faced was irrespective of the fact that people came to the stand up, we still had low attendance at the stand up, which meant that information or sorry, it felt like someone is speaking. Okay. Felt like information being passed at the stand up needed to be repeated over and over during the main meeting, which then took a bit of time and which led on to the third PowerPoint, which is irregularities in information shared. Because we'll share it one time, and by the time we have to share it again,
Only half
information.
minutes more.
Okay, no worries. Information passed will have either omitted some things or we wouldn't get the whole details again. The other thing that we wanted to touch on was, irrespective of the fact that we had 4 BAs, we had inconsistency among all the 4, and we didn't have a point in time where we had all 4 on the call or all 4 being able to attend to a particular issue. We are grateful that we have 2 consistent ones now, and hopefully it stays that way. But earlier during the sprint, it was quite difficult to be able to get BAs, which led to the delay in creation of user stories, which also led to the fact that SMs had to create user stories and SMs also had to create wireframes. And yes, and the last one was lack of interest in some of the members of the team. Laura touched on this earlier, but I guess not everybody was on the call. We've noticed that people do not respond to messages being put on the chat, neither do they show enthusiasm to whatever is going on, which then leads to quite low morale both in SMs and in other team members, because we all need to be one in this project. We all need to feel like we're being helped and we're in a team and there's, sufficient and effective teamwork in a sprint. But yes, that is all from us. And I'm just going to put it here. That is what we can see on the screen is the product of Sprint 1, end product of Sprint 1 at the moment. So we can see the header, which had most of the requirements of the POs. And yes, so just going to go on now thank you very much. We're going to go on now to the feedback from mentors. I don't know how we want to do it, maybe from SMs, just as we presented, but I'll leave it to Olufunke or Larame to take it further. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
You, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓, and the entire Synergy squad. That was a beautiful one. Colorful, well put together, and you see, you guys are professionals. You're just
Put upcoming in front of their name. Upcoming professional.
upcoming. I hear you.
This
Yeah,
still
well,
sprint one.
so well done, well done, well done. Yes, not to waste so much time. Everybody, you kept to time, and that was good. But I will first of all want to say something, and I know the mentors are still going to say. And before you started, Olawumi still mentioned that it is more of an I thing. You know, it's like you're doing an interview. You say I. And if you want to speak on behalf of your other teammates, you say so. You know, what you kept using we. That's the first thing I've picked. But aside that, I would hand over to Olawumi, and from there, I guess the mentors will give their feedback before Deji gives his final wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓. Thank you, Olufunke. Thanks, everyone. Really, this was a better outing than Sprint Zero. And this is Sprint One, which is just the start. And sincerely, as much as I know you've done a good job and everything, hopefully in the coming sprint, we'll see more. I expect more artifacts. I expect more detailed. Uh, by then, I would like you to work more with your mentors for the subsequent ones so you can have more elaborate slides. But I won't give feedback. I'll let the mentors do their thing. And we'll start with Biodo so she can give her feedback quickly. And like you said, maybe just as we went, we can do Biodo first, then Rita, Juliet, and then Uzo will give us a wrap. Yeah? But really well done, everyone. I like when there's a bit of effort. I can see that effort that you guys put together, and for you guys to finish on time too, that was really good. So thanks, everyone. Can give yourself a pat at the back, and please don't forget what I said about motivating yourself. You can do this. You don't need to be running behind. And I also know that it's not easy juggling this with your jobs and every other thing. But I believe in you, and if I believe in you, me that I don't know you from anywhere, you should be able to believe in yourself. Okay. So let's give it a go. Thank you very much, everyone. Really well done. And SMs, I give you your kudos. I think I'll give the SMs my flowers this for this cohort for all the chasing and everything. Okay. So thank you, really well done. So we'll hand over to Biodun. Biodun, are you ready for us? Are you happy to go first or you want to go second? Hello, Biodun.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Are you happy to go first?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first.
All right.
I'm sorry
Olufunke, it's
about
your
my
show.
background
Enjoy.
noise. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. Well done to the HSMs. Been your first presentation. Honestly, I must give you an applaud for what you've done tonight. Well done, guys. So I just want to start with 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶. She presented. So I just want to say that I really like your introduction. You clearly introduced the team and outlined the sprint goal, the sprint duration, and what was accomplished, which I can see on your presentation as well, and which actually gave the presentation a good structure and clarity. It was great to see that the Scrum Masters learned wireframing because, to be honest, I'm surprised to see this. And I would say this is the first time of me myself seeing an SM doing this anyway. So well done. And you guys went ahead to create a wireframes as well. So I'm gonna say this is an excellent additional skills that you guys have showcased. And it's really impressive to see that you've been able to apply it as well. So well done on that. So you mentioned access for the team was properly set up, which is really good. You talked about the balsamic access for the BAs, and then the QAs were kept informed throughout the process. You carried out the team along. Um, Considering that was because this is your first sprint anyway, for you to showcase this knowledge and leadership skills. I must say that you did really well. So I'm talking to the whole SM as a whole. So in case I'm just mentioning Okpebo, yeah, I'm talking to you guys as a whole. So well done. I also like the fact that you coach your team members, because I can see that on your slide, particularly the BAs, and you are willing to get your hands dirty. As I said earlier, this shows leadership and accountability. You mentioned impediments and how you were able to resolve it. I guess I grabbed that from the previous SM, because I thought your presentation started at that time anyway. But presenting the one you had done now, you talked about the impediments, but I didn't really see it on your slide as you how you are able to resolve that impediment. But overall, anyway, it demonstrates good awareness that the Scrum Masters are trying. You guys are removing blockers, are able to remove blockers. And overall, for your presentation, Elsa, I'll just say a very good presentation. And thank you, Okpe, for presenting this on behalf of the SMs. I've got a few areas that I've just noted for improvements. So you mentioned the daily stand-up, and then you went ahead to talk about the sprint planning was not clearly held. And you said, and also I'm not too sure, but you said something about, and instead of a review was carried out, where more stories were committed. That was what I heard, but I might be wrong. But I feel that that was a misuse of terminology here. So because this is actually your sprint review now that you're having tonight. So I would like to see a clearer explanation of what's happened during each ceremonies and how you facilitated them. This would demonstrate stronger understanding of Scrum processes. It would also have been helpful to briefly explain what you did in each ceremony, like your sprint planning, your daily stand-up, your sprint review. I know you didn't mention a retrospective was carried out yet, but I'm sure within the line you'll get to understand more of that anyway. And most of the things you've talked about when it comes to the impediment tonight, you'll be able to revisit this during your retrospective. So I would love to see a retrospective in your next sprint too demo, which will be great to see that. To show confidence in facilitating all the ceremony, and also, having refinement as well. That would be great. So I could see your project board, but I'm not able to see the sprint board. And it would have been lovely to see lots of screenshots anyway, because I'm sure you guys would have done a lot of things within the sprints. And I'm sure within that presentation, you've not captured most of the things you've done. You've only talked about a few of the things you've done during your sprint one. So going forward, I would like to see more of screenshots, activities such as the sprint board, the team charter, definition of ready, your definition of done, ways of working, your racing matrix. So who is responsible, who is accountable, who can be counted, and who is informed. So something like that, that would be great to see. So including this evidence will strengthen your presentation and provide more evidence of your work. So you mentioned Taiwo as the APM, but I was unable to see any clear showcase of his contribution. I might be wrong, but I didn't see anything from your project manager. Am I correct to say there's no presentation from Taiwo? It would be helpful for each for us to see something from the SM, and also to see something from the APM as well. But overall, I'll just say well done to you guys. You did really well, so you should be proud of yourself. This is your being your first sprint. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Piotr.
Who's going next for the feedback?
Okay, I'll keep.
I think it was SM and then DAs.
Oh, okay. Are we just following the order?
Yes.
All right, that's fine. So I'll give the feedback for the DAs. So well done to Rotendo for stepping up for the team. And I want to believe it was a team effort. So well done to Patricia, Prince, and Victor. Was that the other DAs? So well done for putting that together and showcasing all of that. So now going to the presentation itself, well done, Rotendo. That was a good presentation, very confident, very calm, well delivered, demonstrated good understanding of the various concepts that you covered. I loved your use of buzzwords, lots of buzzwords in that presentation. So very well done to you on that. And like I said, you demonstrated that you understood what you were talking about. You were not just like reading through the slides. So great improvement from previous sprints. So that was really good to see. Took all the feedback on board, and I loved what I heard, and what you've done tonight. So well done on that. And your slides as well, well laid out, the topics and the concept that you've covered during the sprint, well clearly laid out on the slides for all to see. And so that was really good. It's good to see that you've covered areas, query language on SQL and some concepts on Tableau as well. So that was good. What I didn't see was your artifact. Now, this is for the DAs as a whole. I'm aware that you've installed, a couple of your tools. I know you've installed your Power BI, your SQL Server Management Studio that you've been using to carry out your query and data transformation on Power BI. And we would have loved to see evidence of that, because one of the areas that we like to be sure about and I would like to see during the program is that you're actually able to install these applications as well. And this is part of the learning journey. So we would have loved to see evidences of that by way of screenshot. Just take a screenshot of your screen, your Power BI screen, even if it's just the homepage, the SQL, the SQL Server Management Studio that you've been able to install. A screenshot of that as well would have been helpful to see that you actually were successful in downloading and installing all of these applications that you then proceeded to use to carry out your analysis. So please take that on board in the coming sprint. Every application that you install, every visualization that you are able to do and put together, take screenshots of those even before. Don't wait until a few days to your demo. As you prepare your visualization, or have almost like a portfolio where you're taking screenshots of all of that and keeping them in preparation for your demo, so that when it's time to then start to put your slides together, you have them ready to go and you're just copying and pasting all of that on your slides. Because I know that you've done quite a bit of work as a team, during the sprint, because I follow the conversations that you have on your guild, how, the attempt that you're all taking to get all of the tools properly installed, reaching out to your colleagues, your mentors as well. So a lot of hard work has gone into the sprint, and you want to showcase that, when you come to do your demo. So please, let's take a note of that. We want to see evidence of that. And I didn't see anything on Power BI as well. That was a little bit disappointing, because I know you've done a lot of work on Power BI. It would have been good to see, evidence of that. Your data transformation, how you've queried and transformed the data, evidences of your data cleaning and all of that. It would have been useful to see all of these things, because like I always say, data analysts would tell stories with the data. So it's more of visualizations, tables, and less of text. that is how we communicate as data analysis, and that is what we would like to see more of. Less about what you've learned, because we know what you've learned, and more about what you've done, in terms of your visualization, your tables, your evidence of installations, and all of that. So please take note of that going forward. But overall, well done, at least for showing up for the team tonight and for delivering that presentation. So well done to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll take that on board for next time.
Thank you so much, Chip.
Thank you. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Thank you, Juliet, for the feedback for the DAs. That was really helpful, and well done for presenting as well. So the next team are the QAs, and I believe that's Rita's corner. So over to you, Rita, for your feedback, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Well done, Amiable. Well done for tonight's presentation. Good presentation. You were very confident, which is good. You presented so well. And I like the content on your slide. There was no too much wordings, and it was more of showcasing all what you guys have covered during this sprint, which was great. And I also like the fact that you were more focused on what we covered for the sprint, which was writing of your test cases and the likes, which was great. So, and I like the fact that you guys also showcased the task that was given to you guys on the Excel, and then transiting into Azure, which was a good one. And during your presentation as well, I noticed you kept saying, because I didn't get the slides on time, I got it midway while you were presenting, but which is okay. You were using the word URL. Can I just say, let's not use that word. You're better off saying the word testing environment. And another thing I picked, I know I mentioned it, I wanted to see your test plan, because what that would have done with the way you presented tonight, with the fact that you were very confident, if you had had that test plan, it would have worked. Your presentation would have been seamless, and it would have been well presented in the fact that you would have looked like more of you giving us a story. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but it would have worked so well, because with that test plan, that would look like a map, and then it would just look like you are telling us a story, and integrating it with all what you guys have done, the test cases bit and the likes. And again, the bugs that were raised, I didn't see any steps to reproduce. And I know I mentioned, because you are manually raising those bugs, the steps to reproduce will not be there. So you have to manually impute the steps to reproduce. So it will not be populated as compared to if we were using the tester's account. But because we did it manually, so you were meant to populate the steps to reproduce column yourselves. So that bit was empty, and which is a no-no. So I don't even know, because a bug like that can be rejected. Remember, those are some of the reasons why bugs can be rejected, right? Please revert to that class video and watch that. So because if the sorry, not the BA, if the developer cannot replicate what you have raised as a bug, it can be rejected. So please do well to always populate the steps to reproduce for now, because we are manually raising those bugs. And while you were presenting, you also said you assigned the bugs to the BA. No, you don't assign bugs to the BA. I know it's all learning curves, but we'll get there. But yeah, please be mindful of that. We do not assign bugs to the BA. We assign the bugs back to the developer that the same developer that the name is on the PBI that you are working on, that you are testing. And one of the bug title as well, it is incomplete because you said, by the way, well done. All the other titles were fine. I think it was 5 bugs. Just one of them had footwear, not footwear. I don't get it. That title, please, is incomplete as far as I'm concerned. Do well to fix that if you can. And I'm really, really, really impressed. I know Olaide gave you guys that bit, and you guys really you ran with it and you did justice with that by um covering total test coverage on each feature. And what we'll be doing, I'm interested. I would like to see those test cases, what you guys have written there, because I'm saying that on a particular feature, you're having up to more than 5 test cases around that particular feature. So I want to believe these are edge test cases and the likes, or maybe negative. I don't know, but I really want to see what you guys have done, which is great for covering that bit on a particular feature. So well done. You presented so well anyway. You did very well. Well done for putting yourself forward as well. Very confident, but there's room for improvement. And the fact that you are very confident, trust me, you are halfway done. What you just need is to work on your presentation skill and make sure you have a well-structured slide to tell us the story, leave us on a cliffhanger and let us want more. That's how it should be. But well done. You did very well, because this is the first time you're also presenting. So well done to you, Amable. You did very well. And thank you to all the QA team. Thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. You guys have really worked so hard, because I knew the developers did not finish developing almost close to the end of the sprint, and you guys did so well to even completed everything. So you took everything that where that we guys have been telling you, myself and Ola, that you should try and be ahead, one step ahead of the developers, which you guys took on board, and that worked really well for you guys. So well done to all the QA team. So that'll be it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Points noted and taken. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So, this is Uzo. I'll be giving the feedback for the BA presentation that was led by 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓. 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓, this is your second presentation. It was done really well. Well done for showcasing the work that has been done by the BAs, or that was done by the BAs in the last sprint. You're a good presenter. I think I mentioned that the last time. You're a really good presenter, so that came through here as well. So however, I don't think it will come as a surprise if a lot of my feedback would be based on improvement, because even comparing your last presentation and this one, that one was a lot better than this one, even though that was a solo presentation, and this was showcasing the work that all the BAs have done in the sprint. I mean, yeah, it could have been a lot better. I'm pretty sure you won't be surprised to hear me say that even a lot of the feedback you got from your team members have showcased the fact that the BA squad could have definitely done a lot better. So I'll just basically start by saying that another term for the demo is the show and tell. There was a lot more telling than showing. You didn't really see a lot of what you've done. You basically just created a list So I'll try and categorize them based on your learning and then the project work you've done. So for example, the topics that you covered, you told us about, you these are just the titles of the tutorials you went through. You didn't tell us anything you learned in any of these tutorials. A lot of the things you learn here are things you're supposed to be showcasing on the project side of your program. And I didn't really see an understanding of that you really understood what you were taught, because I didn't really see them being implemented, to be fair. The user stories, creation of the user stories, wireframes, all of that, I didn't really see a lot of that. Again, even in this list as well, I know of for a fact that the mentoring and the peer discussion did not take place, and that's because you didn't show up. So I think one person did, and she was at work and she wasn't able to talk, so it didn't hold. So I'm not really sure why that's there, because that no BA benefited from that session. So I think unless you've benefited from something, I don't think you should say you learned it or it was covered, because it really wasn't. So you might want to take that bit out. Yeah, so a meeting again with this sort of presentations as well. It's really good to check, proofread things, because I think one of the things I noted was the meeting with the product owners, and I'm like, okay, so how many product owners are there? It's just one, right? So it's obvious that it's a mistake, but it's a mistake that you can catch, or you should catch, before you present. So you proofread what you're doing, make sure you go over it, make sure that it's, there are four of you. So hopefully you guys would have collaborated on what you're presenting as a team. And then, one or two of you would have gone over, you know, what is being presented. But I don't think that happened. I think based on the feedback I'm getting, this was probably really done. It wasn't done. It was done in a hurry, maybe, because again, a lot wasn't showcased here, to be honest. Um, so and again, in a lot of the lectures you've gotten, or the tutorials, I'm pretty sure you've gotten tasks, and I didn't see any of them. You were asked to showcase your DOR and DOD. I haven't seen that. You've showcased, I think, one wireframe. If there are four user stories that were created, and there's supposed to be four user frames and wireframes, I beg your pardon, four wireframes that were created for each story. I didn't see that. I didn't see stories you've created. In fact, I got more from the SM's presentation and the QA's presentation about your project than I got from you guys, which is actually BA's drive what the project is. And as you can see, because of the lack of participation, the whole project suffered. So I don't know what your project mandate is. I don't know what your um sprint goal was. There's a lot of information that is missing from your presentation. Yeah, so sorry, going back to the artifacts you're supposed to have created, from the stakeholder management training, you were told to create your stakeholder register, your RACI, stakeholder maps, all of that. There's a lot of stuff that you were asked to present, specifically asked. A lot of the interns are not even asked to do it. They know they're to do it, but they're not told ahead of time. So they basically use their initiative, but it was spelled out for you to say these are the things you need to present in the next demo, and you haven't presented one. The story you have here, I can't see your story. Your given when then, your as a I want, so that, your user story, your description, all of that, you didn't show any of that. So yeah, I was expecting a lot more, to be fair. I don't know what project you're working on. It's a Valor fashion website project. What is it? What are you supposed to be doing? What value did you add for this sprint as a project team? What did you deliver? What are you showcasing to us, the stakeholders? We gave you a project to do. What have you done? You haven't told us any of those things. I'm pretty sure that you learned, or you should have learned tools. I didn't hear anything about any of the tools you used. Again, I got more about the tools from the other roles than I got from you. BAs, you're the documentation heavy role. You're the documentation heavy role. You're the documenters. You're the ones that create artifacts. So I am, I mean, again, a lot of the other roles showcased a lot more. They talked about the terminology they've learned. They've talked about what they've learned so far, and they've talked about what they've done. And I think that was missing from here. Yeah. So rather than ask what is wireframing, you're supposed to tell us what wireframing is. You're supposed to show us what you've done. You showed one wireframe. I think I mentioned this. You're supposed to showcase the wireframes you've worked on. How many stories did you create? How many were committed? How many were approved? Did you do UAT on any of them? Again, I got this information from another role, not from you. So I expected a lot more. Not only did I expect a lot more, you were told to deliver a lot more. So, and from the feedback gotten from the other roles, it's clear why it hasn't been done, because you are not available to your project team. And I know you hear this a lot, and all of that, but you're here for a reason. Time is going quickly. This is already sprint 1. I think you probably just have 4 more sprints to go. And this time goes fast before you know it. And you're going to be learning. So while you're still trying to catch up, more things are coming. And if you don't, you won't utilize the time you have very well. Yeah. And you should do that. You know why you came here. You know what you want to get out of it. I think you can do a lot more. Your team expects you to do a lot more. We expect you to do a lot more. So hopefully next presentation will be better. When you're asked to do things, you do it. If there's a reason why you haven't been able to do it, then tell the stakeholders, we were asked to deliver on this, but we weren't able to do it because you just kept quiet on all the things you were asked to deliver. I don't know if you think people won't remember, but we will. We asked you to do it, so of course we know what we asked you to do. So these are some of the things you need to pick up as a professional when you get into your role. Your senior stakeholder asks you to do something. You either do it or you explain why you were not able to do it. You don't just keep quiet and just hope that people won't remember. So yeah, that's basically again, I don't think this feedback comes as a surprise to anybody. If your project team is telling you that they expect more from you and you were not available, then I don't think this comes as a surprise. So hopefully you will do better in the upcoming sprints. I hope you're realizing how important the role is, and how you don't want to let your team down. You don't want to let the project down. You want to make sure that you're able to do what you need to do so everyone else can do what they need to do. Otherwise, there's a ripple effect and it affects the whole team. And you have scrum masters that are creating wireframes because you're not available. Yeah, I love that they have that extra knowledge, but it's your responsibility. And no one's going to pay you to do a job that someone else is doing on your behalf. They'll let you go. They'll let you go. There's no need to have you on board if you're not going to do what you're supposed to do. So yeah, I'm hoping that next sprint you have 2 weeks to do better. Look at the other slides, see what the others have done. Beef up your slides, show us what you've done. Don't just talk about it. Don't create a list. What have you really done? What have you really learned? What tools have you used? What competencies have you used? Let us have this information so we know that you're getting value and you're giving value as well. So that's it from me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ogo. It's noted.
Thank you, Zo, for that tough love. And it was a good back. Thank you so much. I think that is every mentor here. I don't know if Olaume has anything to say before I call on Deji to give his feedback as well.
Thank you, everyone. Honestly, for the feedback, I think they've touched on, the things I wanted to touch on. But most importantly, no matter where you are, there's always expectation for improvement and growth. So, in the next presentation, we'll be expecting an improvement to what you've done so far. But honestly, I must tell you guys, at least it was way better than the previous outcome. So I'm happy to see this. And then secondly, during the course of the week, we'll also tell you the next steps for your sprint two your sprint two presentation. We'll tell you how it's going to pan out. Yeah. Thank you very much. I guess that's it from me. I'm happy for Digi to give us a wrap up so we can call it a day. Thank you.
Through the trees.